This is a presentation about the concepts of organizational culture and nuclear safety culture. For organizational culture, we rely on the work of Dr. Edgar Schein, and we use the definitions that he provided in his books, The Corporate Culture Survival Guide and The Organizational Culture and Leadership. Wherever a group has enough common experience, a culture begins to form. Thus, the key to understanding whether a culture exists or not is to look for common experiences and backgrounds. Culture is the sum total of all the shared, taken for granted assumptions that a group has learned throughout its history. The culture of a group can now be defined as a pattern of shared basic assumptions that was learned by a group as it solved its problems of external adaptation and internal integration, that has worked well enough to be considered valid and therefore to be taught to new members as the correct way to perceive, think, and feel in relation to those problems. In his book Organizational Culture and Leadership, Dr. Schein presents the three levels of culture and explains how these influence each other. The first level, the artifacts, include all the phenomena that you see, hear, and feel when you encounter a new group with an unfamiliar culture. Artifacts include behaviors. Espoused values and beliefs are at the second level of culture and are constituted by the articulated, publicly announced principles and values that the group claims to be trying to achieve. At the third level, and the deepest one of the organizational culture, we have the basic underlying assumptions, which are the tacit, unconscious, taken for granted beliefs and values that ultimately determine behavior, perception, thought, and feeling. We should note that this model is a dynamic one, and there are interrelations and connections between the artifacts, the espoused values, and the basic underlying assumptions which influence each other. In Corporate Culture Survival Guide, Dr. Schein advises us to investigate the basic underlying assumptions only when we see misalignment between the artifacts, what we see that is here, what we actually do, and the espoused beliefs and values, what we say is here, what we say we do. This is a quote from this book. As a general principle, the way to deeper cultural level is through identifying the inconsistencies and conflicts you observe between overt behaviors, policies, rules, and practices, the artifacts, and the espoused values as formulated in vision statements, policies, and other managerial communications. You must then identify what is driving the overt behavior and other artifacts. This is where the important elements of culture are embedded. Also, these are quotes from Dr. Schein's book. Culture can be described and assessed at the level of artifacts, espoused values, and shared tacit assumptions. The importance of getting to the assumption level derives from the insight that unless you understand the shared tacit assumptions, you cannot explain the discrepancies that almost always surface between espoused values and these observed behavioral artifacts. Culture matters because it is a powerful, latent, and often unconscious set of forces that determine both our individual and collective behavior, ways of perceiving, thought patterns, and values. Organizational culture in particular matters because cultural elements determine strategies, goals, and models of operating. The International Atomic Energy Agency defines safety culture as the assembly of characteristics, attitudes, and behaviors in individuals, organizations, and institutions, which establishes that, as an overriding priority, protection and safety issues receive the attention warranted by their significance. The World Association of Nuclear Operators defines nuclear safety culture as the core values and behaviors resulting from a collective commitment by leaders and individuals to emphasize safety over competing goals to ensure protection of people and the environment. Using our knowledge and experience in the nuclear industry, we may try and make an inventory of specific artifacts and espoused values with significant examples for various areas of work and organizational groups, for design, operation, work planning, maintenance, safety analysis, technical support, training, procurement, management, administrative support, emergency preparedness, independent oversight, regulatory oversight, research and development, and so on. Here are some examples in the context of a nuclear organization that I provided to illustrate the model put forward by Edgar Schein for the organizational culture. At the level of artifacts, we have organizational structures, processes, documented management system and procedures, policy statements, use of safety climate surveys, safety improvement programs, indicators, allocation of resources, documents that we produce, emergency drills, training facilities, maintenance facilities, mock-ups, outsourced activities, the apparel, the protective equipment, the logos, the warning signs, the work practices, the personnel behavior, the reporting procedure, the use of operating experience feedback, succession planning, incentives and rewards, use of peer reviews, and more other things, many more other things, and basically all the things that are visible. At the second level, at the level of espoused beliefs and values, we have the policy statements that almost always have positive declarations, such as safety is our first priority, we have sound and transparent decision-making processes, we value competence and professionalism, we encourage reporting of abnormal conditions, we have a blame-free environment, we are a learning organization, we value teamwork, and many other statements. I'm sure you find examples from your organizations in this area of espoused beliefs and values. At the level of underlying assumptions, we count all the assumptions that are shared, not each and every assumption that may be held by individuals, but just the assumptions that are shared at the level of groups, teams, and organizations. Some of the positive assumptions are listed here. Everyone is responsible for safety. Everyone can contribute to the success of the organization. We trust each other. We don't live on past successes. We can always improve. We should learn from the operating experience so that we don't become case studies. We don't tolerate substandard performance. We can report problems without fear of repercussions, and many other assumptions. I'm sure you are familiar with many of these assumptions that support nuclear safety. Dr. Schein recommends that we investigate the underlying assumptions only when we see a misalignment between the artifacts and the espoused beliefs and values. The basic or underlying assumptions may support or may undermine safety culture. We should identify the assumptions that support safety culture and cultivate them. We should also identify the assumptions that undermine safety culture and in this way also undermine safety, and we should discourage such assumptions. In my view, basic assumptions are like the root causes for events and can be treated as such. Apparently unrelated artifacts, including significant events, may have their root causes in shared basic assumptions. If we think of some of the most significant accidents and near misses in the history of the nuclear industry, we often find shared basic assumptions about various scenarios not having been considered credible before they actually occurred. Here are some examples of positive basic assumptions, which include beliefs such as my work is important for nuclear safety. Substandard performance in my work may have a negative impact on nuclear safety. If I see something, I say something. I report any concern that I have. Peer checks help me because they reduce the chance of errors. If I have a question, I better ask it to get clarification rather than make a wrong assumption. Unverified assumptions need to be questioned. We must prepare for the unexpected. Safety and production go hand in hand. We may also find negative examples of basic assumptions that include wrong beliefs and which we should discourage. Some examples of wrong beliefs are, it's okay because we've always done things this way. or we should tell management what we think they like to hear, or we never had a serious event, so an accident cannot happen here, or we're safe because the regulator gave us the license, or there's no point in reporting problems because they don't get fixed, or if I teach others to do what I do, I may become redundant, or if the regulators or peer reviewers did not find anything, then we don't have any problems in this area. All these are wrong beliefs, and I assure you, you can find examples of other wrong beliefs that you came across in your experience. And my advice is to try and understand where these come from and to try and discourage them and change them, transform them into positive basic assumptions. And this can be done through training and persuasion, and through giving a positive example, and through giving allocating enough resources for the training process. There are many things that you can do to discourage and reverse negative basic assumptions. And it's always worth trying to do this, because if you leave them uncorrected, the negative basic assumptions will erode organizational culture and will undermine safety. Whenever we detect signs of declining performance, we should investigate the causes for the discrepancies between what we see out there, the artifacts, and what we declared and promised, the espoused values. We should determine whether it is a problem of resources, including expertise, or a problem of basic assumptions, beliefs, impressions, and feelings, or if both tangible aspects and cultural elements contribute, as it is often the case. We should be aware that artifacts do influence the basic assumptions. What is the current state of affairs with regard to material and financial resources, training and qualification programs and facilities, procedures, exercises and drills, material condition and plant housekeeping, availability of sufficient in-house technical expertise, and many other tangible, quantifiable aspects will influence the basic assumptions about what is acceptable, tolerable, desirable, expected. The influence of the artifacts is more pronounced than the influence of the espoused values declared in policy documents and presented in posters. In cases where cultural basic assumptions are found to determine behaviors more than the formal processes of the organization, it means that the processes and procedures have not been effective. Efforts need to be made both to fix processes and to change culture. Improved processes and supplementary resources allocated by the leaders do not immediately or necessarily fix culture, and culture does not necessarily bring in additional resources, but there is a feedback relation between resources and culture, between the artifacts and the basic assumptions. A healthy safety culture and the positive assumptions supporting such a culture cannot develop and thrive in organizations struggling with resource problems, such as insufficient funding or insufficient qualified staff or lack of expertise, and with poorly defined processes and responsibilities. At the same time, a poor safety culture will inevitably cause problems that will cost an organization resources, including money and time. Organizations performing in accordance with excellent standards require and have additional resources and more effective processes in comparison with organizations performing in the survival mode. So, when observing signs of trouble, we should investigate whether it is culture or it is something else that affects organizational performance. We can only know if we investigate, and the corrective actions may consist of more than just additional training and procedures. Although we speak of organizational culture as covering all the elements of culture of an organization, we should note that the elements relating to nuclear safety in the context of a nuclear organization cannot be fully separated or isolated from the other cultural elements and influences. Although nuclear safety culture is the term we have commonly used in more than 30 years, there have been attempts to promote other terminology that would be more accurate, such as culture that supports nuclear safety or a culture of safety. Semantics and social psychology aside, I prefer to refer to nuclear safety culture because my focus is on the elements that have an impact on nuclear safety. However, in these elements of nuclear safety culture, I include the shared basic assumptions that at origin have nothing to do with nuclear, but which may influence the attitudes and behaviors relevant for nuclear activities. We should be aware that we constantly try to adapt to the organizational culture, but at the same time, we also continuously try to adapt the organization and its processes and activities to ourselves. The discrepancies between artifacts and espoused values come from our acting in accordance with basic assumptions rather than with formal rules and procedures. These discrepancies also influence our basic assumptions in a feedback loop. Discrepancies between what we think, our basic assumptions, and what we say, the espoused values that we declare, may reveal themselves in what we do, the artifacts. Looking at a quote from Gandhi, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. We can extrapolate this to the level of an organization. Organizational happiness or lack of tension or of organizational anxiety or of conflicts is achieved when the basic assumptions internalize the espoused values and the artifacts are in conformity with the espoused values. So this is just another way of putting alignment in perspective. What we can see and hear, we see the artifacts, we are aware of the espoused values and principles because these are usually set in the policies, goals and strategies and mission and vision statements of the organizations. We may discover or we may hear some of the basic assumptions in the discussions, including in the interviews that we have with the personnel, and also in the root cause analysis reports for events. And we shall try and uncover the basic assumptions because they may be the root causes for many apparently unrelated events. Here are just a few examples of artifacts that we have in the nuclear industry. We have the protective equipment to protect us against the hazards, against some of the hazards. We have caution tags, we have hazard signs, we have values, espoused values like the STAR principle. We have the layout of the control room that is influenced by human factors engineering, which in turn has at its basis some assumptions about how humans interact with technology. We have the artifacts like the containment structures, which have at their basis a technical basis, the potential accidents that could happen and that require a pressure-proof containment structure, but also basic assumptions that humans have about the credibility of accidents and also about the credibility of accidents that may exceed a design basis, accidents like the severe accident that happened in the past in the nuclear industry. So for all these artifacts, all the visible things that we encounter in the organizations in the nuclear field, in the installations, in the practices, in the procedures, we should try and understand both the technical basis and the underlying basic assumptions. What we can do? We set requirements on some of the artifacts or directly influence some of the artifacts. We review and inspect the artifacts, procedure, processes, practices, programs, behavior, state of structure, systems and components, organizational changes, resources, and take actions in case of non-compliance with requirements. We may observe patterns, including improvement in the performance or signs of declining safety performance. We may influence the espoused values and principles when we elaborate and review policies, goals, and strategies. We may discover underlying or basic assumptions or may seek to discover them if we observe discrepancies between the espoused values and the artifacts. We can influence some of the basic assumptions. What each of us should do. Practice what we preach. No double talk and no double standards. Respect the legislation, regulations, license conditions, and align to the best international standards, guidelines, and practices. Make the standards clear through procedures, training, and give personal example to support their implementation. Continuously question underlying assumptions when we observe discrepancies between espoused values and artifacts. Investigate why discrepancies between espoused values and artifacts appear. Why are these differences between the standards and the actual performance? Don't be overly and overtly defensive, and don't argue about the findings resulted from the reviews and inspections, regardless whether they are performed by regulators, by peers, by independent oversight, or by the audit group. They reveal some discrepancies, and it is in our best interest to investigate and resolve them. Devise proper corrective actions and improvement actions to ensure standards are understood and followed. In nuclear organizations, nuclear safety shall be the first priority in all decision making, and nuclear professionals shall set the standards and drive performance improvement. Our basic assumptions should ideally be aligned with the espoused values. If the expected behaviors support nuclear safety, as set in the standards promoted by the IAEA and WANO, are widely known, understood, and consistently practiced in all organizations in the nuclear industry, by all individuals and groups, including the management, leadership ranks, and the regulators, then we can reasonably expect to develop and maintain a strong and healthy nuclear safety culture. You are probably familiar with James Rison's model we call the Swiss cheese. It's a model about how accidents may happen when deficiencies in the barriers that prevent hazards from being materialized into accidents, when these deficiencies aligned, accidents may happen. So it is our role and our duty to find gaps between the standards and the actual performance. We should investigate the causes for the gaps and challenge the assumptions. We should reinforce the standards, model the right behaviors, give a personal example, provide resources, resolve the gaps, push for corrective actions that eliminate or minimize the latent failures, follow up on actions, and commit to continuous improvement. Our actions improve safety. Here is some recommended reading to better understand the models of organizational culture and nuclear safety culture and the traits and attributes of a healthy nuclear safety culture. Edgar Schein's book that I've already mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, Organization Culture and Leadership and Corporate Culture Survival Guide, IMPO and WANO documents on the traits of a healthy nuclear safety culture, and a working document by the IAEA, a harmonized safety culture model. Here are some recommended topics for reflection. What are the artifacts of my organization that are specific to the nuclear industry? What are the artifacts of my organization that reflect national culture? What are the espoused values and principles declared in the mission and vision statements, policy documents, and codes of conduct of my organization? Are there any inconsistencies or discrepancies between the artifacts and the espoused values? If there are, try and find out why. Are there discrepancies related to culture, or to resources, or to both? What are the basic assumptions behind the technical requirements such as compliance with regulations, license conditions, and procedures? Are these assumptions known and shared by the majority of the personnel working in the organization? What are the basic requirements that support installation, testing, and maintenance of safety-related systems and equipment which have only the role in accident management and emergency response? Are these assumptions known and shared? What are the basic assumptions about the authority, responsibility, and accountability of managers? Are these assumptions shared? What are the basic assumptions about the necessary competence of managers? What are the basic assumptions about what are the leadership attributes necessary in nuclear organizations? Are all these assumptions shared? These would be some good topics to reflect on in order to better know and understand your organization and to see whether there are any aspects that could be improved to to support nuclear safety culture and nuclear safety. Thank you.